Malizia, a 1973 film, is about the parallel desire of a widower and his sons for their new housekeeper. Following the death of his wife, a father of three sons hires an attractive young housekeeper named Angela and soon becomes engaged to her. His sons are also infatuated with Angela, and each of them uses their particular way to approach and capture the apparently innocent and naive young woman. But only one of them succeeds in dominating and conquering her, the middle son Nino. Channel Viaggio Celebrity presents top 10 movies like Malizia. Number 10. In Praise of Older Women, 1978. Middle-aged ethnic Hungarian Andras Vajda, a philosophy professor, reflects on his youth and how he was always enamored with the opposite sex, especially more mature women. That attraction to more mature women stemmed in part from his experiences during World War II and from what was his first encounter at age 19. He reflects specifically on his relationship with four mature women over the course of just over a decade from the early 1950s to early 1960s, and how each differed based on culture. His own maturity and experiences at each stage, what each woman wanted and needed from him, and the geopolitical situation in which he was enmeshed. He also reflects on the relationship in terms of what he believed was love at that point in his life. Before its release, the Ontario Film Review Board demanded the removal of a 35-second scene from the film. However, the original cut of the film was shown during the Toronto International Film Festival, and despite a subway strike and a rainstorm, hundreds of people waited outside the Elgin Theatre to see the film. According to some sources, counterfeit tickets were distributed, and a riot almost formed as ticket holders were turned away. Number 9. Le Dolci, 1975. The Sweet Aunts is a comedy from 1975 directed by Mario Imperoli. The young libero is a naive boy, an orphan of the parents, who still does not think about romance and lives on a farm with a sanguine grandfather, whose name he bears, and with his partner the friendly Manuela. Until the court, he decides to entrust the custody to three of his aunts, all three still single, who take it into their heads to act as school shifts to the boy. In the second part of the film, you can listen to the song La Strada Era Bella, taken from the homonymous record by UT. Number 8. Chaste and Pure, 1981. Antonio is the husband of a rich heiress who shortly before his wife's death, realizing he risked being expelled from the estate, convinced the dying woman to ask their small daughter Rosa for a vow of chastity, so that she cannot marry until the death of father. 20 years later, she is now a beautiful woman, all home and church, who lives in respect of the oath made on her mother's deathbed. Soon, however, she starts first to have strange dreams and then to have winking night visit from her cousin Fernando. Extremely disturbed by these events, she confides to her confessor pastor that she wants to become a nun and to give all her belongings to charity. As soon as his father becomes aware of this idea, in order not to lose the patrimony of which he is the usufructuary, he organizes a group initiation toward his daughter. This event, however, opened the eyes of Rosa, who finally makes herself independent. Number 7. The Diary of an Innocent Boy, 1968. France, 1750s. Benjamin has spent his entire childhood and early adolescence in the sole company of his tutor Camille. Now that he is 19, he must go to live with his aunt Countess of Warandry and her lover, a Danwan Count Philip de Saint Germain. To wealthy aristocrats at the Sattu de Warundri, when he arrives at his aunt's estate, he is as pure as a boy of his age can be, and his relatives' libertine lifestyle comes as a surprise to him. Fortunately for him, there is an abundance of attractive young women who are more than willing to help him make the transition from boyhood to manhood. After all, it is the duty of those who know to teach those who know not. It amuses Benjamin that Comte de Saint Germain should throw over his mistress and go chasing after a younger woman and an orphan. Amid the wild revelry of a party, Anne offers herself to Benjamin to complete his initiation in the ways of love before she takes the Count as her husband. Number 6. Scandal in the Family 1975. Carlo, an industrialist, arrived at his villa in Piacenza to spend the holiday with his wife Piera and his daughter Francesca. Upon arrival, he discovered that the cook, the attractive Zaira, who as a young boy he used to watch having romance and under whose cover he used to crawl during, has been replaced by Doris, a young and busty widow who he has not seen since he was a child. Carlo immediately began to court and seduce her. After a few days, Milo arrived from the south, the son of Carlo's incapable brother. He is a student, young and successful. First, the boy conquers Francesca, who had an ambiguous relationship with her friend Fedora. Then seduces Doris, whom he uses to move Uncle Carlo around. And finally Piera, who, more intelligent than her husband, is about to chase him from home. After assuring himself of the complete dedication of 3 women of the house, Milo pushes the uncle, who suffers from a heart condition, to an excessive effort with the cook, causing him a heart attack. In this way, the boy from the south inherits the villa, the factories and the women. Number 5. La Nipote 1974. Adele, a beautiful and orphan young woman, accepts the invitation to spend the summer at her uncle's magnificent Italian villa. However, right from the start, Adele will realize that more than anything else in the world, the household's lustful inhabitants have other things in mind. As a matter of fact, Adele's uncle Luigi prefers chasing Doris, the maid. On the other hand, Zoraida, a former stripper and Luigi's wife, enjoy having fun with Piero, a friend of the family. Lastly, Antonio, Luigi's son, sees in Doris a willing tutor. Honestly, is this a place for beautiful youngness? Director Nello Rossetti is perhaps most famous for a film called The Sensuous Nurse, which features original Bond girl Ursula Andress and played on late night cable in America in the 80s. Perhaps as a result, that film got a very decent DVD release a few years back. This film is pretty similar to that one. However, it has met a very different fate. The French got a hold of it at some point, dubbed it into French, and added about 20 minutes of inserts. Number 4. Loverboy 1975. Engineer Percy Cathy lives in Pisa with his 2 children and the housekeeper in a villa. One day he learned that his father, who emigrated several years before to Caracas, has died and that his second wife is coming to meet him. Everyone expects an elderly woman to arrive, but a charming girl named Maruana shows up at the airport. Father and children try with little results to take advantage of the graces of Maruana. The only one who managed to spend more time with her is Carletto, the youngest son of the engineer. Carletto is strongly attracted to Maruana and continuously snubs a peer named Marinella. Due to a family commitment, Carletto remains a whole day alone at home with Maruana. and therefore has time to seduce her. The next day, Carletto and Maruana learn that Marinella has attempted to commit suicide for love and join her in the hospital. After reassuring himself of his state of health, now out of danger, Maruana asks everyone to be able to speak alone with Marinella. Maruana advises the girl to take a more feminine attitude and bearing if she wants to attract Carletto's attention. Maruana has come to the end of her stay in Pisa and must return to her hometown. Number 3. What Every Frenchwoman Wants, 1986. Sent to a boarding school for 3 long years, Roger finally returned home, and right from the start, swift and naughty glances here and there foretell that this won't be an ordinary summer. Already filled with an ever-growing curiosity that demands attending, Roger will soon realize that his parents' mansion is actually a tantalizing playground full of women, including his sisters, his aunt, the governess, and the very promising maids. Bored to death inside a nearly vacant house, the boy will discover all the secrets kept behind closed doors. As his dormant yet raw force gradually awakens, suddenly Roger will transfer into a proper kinky man, and when World War I breaks out, he will be left all alone to console the poor and unprotected women. Inevitably, Roger will seize the opportunity, and like a rooster in a hen house, he will ultimately perfect himself. After all, this is no ordinary summer. Number 2. Lovers and Other Relatives, 1974. Versilia, summer 1956. Sandrino is on a beach holiday with his family. With them is the beautiful Laura, wife of the boy's older brother Renzo, who lives for a period with them. At first, annoyed by the presence of his sister-in-law, to whom he must keep company and give help of all kinds, Sandrino then begins to fall in love with Laura, who in turn triggers a series of tantalizing situations. The boy also starts a succession of intriguing situations, partly restrained, partly stirred by the woman. In the end, the woman gives herself to the Sandrino, and the film ends up with the celebration in the family for the experience she had with the Sandrino, of which the unsuspecting older brother especially rejoices while the two look at each other in agreement. This movie is called venial sins, which are of course small sins that can be easily forgiven. This is kind of sequel to Salvatore Samperi and Laura Antonelli's more famous film Malizia. But whereas that was about a teenager who is in love with his maid, blackmails her before she turned the tables. This is a more gentle film about a teenage boy in the love with his blowhard brother's wife. Number 1. Malena, 2000. As Italy enters World War II, the Sicilian boy Renato gets his first bicycle and above all, sets eye on the sleepy town's most beautiful woman, Malena, the statuesque newcomer whose husband is off to war. Desired by every man in town and at the same time despised by their jealous wives, Malena is now the center of attention and everyone's favorite subject of an increasingly rancorous gossip. Then with Malena's husband presumed killed in action, Renato's starry-eyed infatuation turns into obsession, as the unattainable object of his desire becomes more and more a victim of her incomparable beauty. Now Malena's fall from grace is inevitable. Will Renato finally get up his nerve to protect his eternal fantasy Malena? The film has a 54% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, based on reviews by 78 critics with an average of 5.6 out of 10. The website's critic consensus reads, Malena ends up objectifying the character of the movie's title. Also, the young boy's emotional investment with Malena is never convincing, as she does not feel like a three-dimensional person. On Metacritic, which uses a weighted score, the film is rated 54 out of 100.